Being the CEO, Why Success Lives Inside You. Hello, everyone. My name is Tessa. I'm the Director of Marketing at IdeaPros. And today I have Fred Cary with me. Hello, Fred.
Hello.
I'm actually going to put your title up there because I can. It's so cool. Woohoo! CEO of IdeaPros. And today our expert on how to be the CEO because you're so good at it.
Well, we'll see about that by the time the show's over.
Right. Well, and there's the success lives inside us, and so I know you talk a lot about this about inner work that we do on the Instagram channel over at Official Fred Cary, but there's more to it, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic for sure.
Okay.
So it's all your floor there, Fred.
I was intentionally pausing to make you nervous.
That's good. I already laughed a million times anyhow.
Okay. Well, hey, everybody. Look, we all want to start our own companies. We all want to be entrepreneurs. In fact, 55% of Americans, 55% of Americans have self-identified at one point or another as being entrepreneurial. They started their own business. And yet only 17% at any given time self-identifies as an entrepreneur, meaning they're currently in their own business. So what has happened to that big group of people? They've gone back to work in their 9-to-5 jobs, or they tried to do entrepreneurship as a side hustle and it didn't work out, or they ran into a tree or a wall or a brick or a fire and turned around and said, "This is not for me. I'm not going to be lucky enough." And so the very first thing that we need to look at is, do you have the muscle? Do you have the strength? Do you have the resilience? Do you have the willpower? Do you have the never give up attitude in order to be able to run a company of any size? Because companies of every single size have issues. Some more than others. Obviously, startups have more issues than any other type of organization in the world because you're building something that doesn't exist. So the reason that subtitle is that it's really all dependent upon you is, that's not exactly what the subtitle is, but it says something like that. And the reason
Success lives inside you.
Thank you very much. Because only you can make that difference between failure and success of an organization. There are always going to be outside forces. There are going to be internal forces. There's going to be strife amongst the employees, the executive team, your shareholders, your board of directors, your customers, your suppliers. There are always different things that are happening all the time. So the success or failure of an organization depends only upon you. And we're going to dig into some of the different pieces of that. That's the general overall view. If you want to be a CEO, you need to be the general of everything, and you need to be able to face a lot of different battles that are going to take place every single day that are going to make you upset, depressed, second guess yourself. In fact, one of my favorite partners and I, Aziza, with Raw Beauty Co., we were just talking about that this morning, how hard this is and how sometimes you just feel overwhelmed. Even things that should be simple. For example, she's getting her Raw Beauty Co. onto Amazon. It's taken almost 6 months working with Amazon experts in order to be able to get it on there. It's something that you would think is an overnight process, and it's a nightmare. And that's just one thing. That's getting it on. Now we got to talk about selling it, right? So there are nightmares that take place every single step of the way, and you need to have that fabric to be able to hang in there, even on those depressed nights, to be able to wake up in the morning and get back to work and make it happen.
I think we have a lot of those diehard, people with that capability right here on our live with us today. But let's say that we have it, we think we have it. So what's next?
Well, what's next is understanding that uncertainty is the centerpiece of building an organization. That there are so many different factors and there's so many opportunities to blame others. In fact, we've had close to 400 some odd partners, and I've had a small percentage. Well, there are several partners who are not happy because things take too long, okay? But they understand it. They're working with us. They're like, okay, what do we do next? They're really entrepreneurial. There was a handful of partners that came to me and basically said, we can do it faster ourselves. We can do it better ourselves. So just let us go, sign us off, give us our equity back, and we're going to go do it. And I recently found out that group started a little private Facebook group to basically bitch about us amongst themselves, because here it is a year later and they still can't start their own companies because they didn't realize that it's not Fred, it's not IdeaPros, it's not anything other than them. To start a company is really, really hard, full of failures. And when you take ownership, then you're going to make it happen. So the first step in being a CEO, the first step of knowing that success comes from inside here is being able to say, this is on me, 100% on me. It's not on anybody else. I'm going to have people around me working for me, working with me, partners, associates, employees, suppliers. Nobody's going to work as hard as me. Nobody's going to be as dedicated as me. And nobody's going to make it happen the way that only I can make it happen. And you need to start with that as your attitude. When you start with that as your attitude, then you're going to have a really good chance of making it. Otherwise, you're going to be part of that 55% who said, I'm starting my own business. And so many of them drop out because they can't handle the pressure that it takes to be the CEO.
So you got to own it, own it, and really take charge.
Yeah.
I think that's a little hard for some of these new business owners who really don't know. They feel a little out of their element because this is new.
Yeah. One thing that we're doing here, we're doing IdeaPros 2.0 here that we've been working on, and I'm out raising capital to make it happen. But one of the new components of what we're going to do is create this whole membership program for different levels of entrepreneurship. Because the one thing I've discovered is even at the highest level, I met some guy recently who sold his company for well over $20 million. He belongs to two groups. He belongs to a CEO group and he belongs to a marketing group. He pays $1,000 a month
Mhm.
to be in those two groups. Why? Because he's always trying to get more information. What am I going to do next? What's going to be my next project? How can I sit and talk with my peers and get ideas? How can I bounce my ideas off others? Same thing with the marketing group. What are the best opportunities to really create more buzz, to really create a better brand? And it's worth $24,000 a year to this guy who's at the top of his game already. So one of
I
the
did.
things,
I paid $1,000 a month for coaching myself, so I get it. I get
well,
it.
well, there you go. So as an entrepreneur, you need to surround yourself with people who think like you, not with people who doubt you, right?
Mhm.
And what we tend to do is we're the black sheep. Entrepreneurs are the black sheep of the family. That's the way it is. You need to find other entrepreneurs, other thinkers, doers, other people who believe that the impossible is a word that the M should be removed from, that you can do anything. And the more of those type of people that you surround yourself with, the more strength you're going to have, the more ability you're going to have to perform, and the less you're going to doubt yourself, because you're going to see that there are others out there just like you that have had failures and have picked themselves up and just done it again. In fact, Scott Perry just joined our board of directors recently, and I think I told a story about him before he officially joined. But he spoke to our private. We have our own private group once a month that only half the partners come up to. I have no idea. Well, it's one time a month. I don't have any idea why all of them aren't there, because there's always something really, really important to be said there. And Scott was on, I think, 3 months ago, and he had sold his company for $300 million. And he and his brother were the only two that owned it. He completely bootstrapped it, never got any investment dollars. And he was asked about whether or not he had any sleepless nights. And here he was. That was his second success, by the way. His first company sold for 100 million. And he told everybody, I can't tell you the number of nights I laid in my bed in the dark, my eyes open, staring at the ceiling and crying, not knowing whether or not what I was doing was the right thing, whether I was ever going to make any money, whether anybody saw value in what I had, and whether or not I should just go back and work for what he calls the man. And here he is, someone from the outside that you look at, and you look at those successes, and why hasn't that happened to me? Why haven't I had that type of success? Surround yourself with people who have been there, who have done that. Have mentors. Have people that will support you, not tear you down. Have people that will build you up and encourage you to keep going. We have another app that recently launched, and I'm not gonna name it, only because there are two or three different partners involved that are related, and one has always been gung ho in the relationship, and another one has always been doubting and pushing and creating problems for the other one. But now here they are. They're all launched. They're all happy. They're seeing their dream come true, and it took 18 months longer than they thought it was going to take, but it launched, and everybody's happy now. So the point is, get away from the naysayers. Surround yourself with positive people who will reinforce your ideas. And so that's the second. First is your fortitude, your makeup as an entrepreneur, as a leader. We get the difference between leadership and entrepreneurship in a second. But the first is your own
Okay.
makeup. The second is surround yourself with people who are like-minded, who you can feed off of. So critically important to be able to do that
I
instead of
think
that little tiny negative Facebook group, private
you come to the
Facebook.
positive side.
Yeah,
No, there's
but they would all, whoever they are, would all rather sit in there and just blame everybody else for why
yeah.
they're not succeeding, instead of taking that time and using it to become successful like they wanted to be.
And lifting each other up. I think you've mentioned that mentorship
Yeah.
environment. I cannot tell you how many times I had to have somebody else that saw the potential in me to push me when I said, I can't, I gotta be done. And I know I have Odin over there, and he's told me that on many occasions. And I know I'm consistently telling the partners too, like, sometimes you can't see what all the good and how far you've come, because you're so blinded by what you're in at that moment. You don't realize how far you've already come. And so that little vision of the guy digging, and he's getting on the way to the diamonds, and he's turning around when the other person keeps going, is what we're looking at here.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'll let you keep going. I had to say that because I wanted to put my positive in there.
Okay. Well, you are always positive, Tessa. It's one of the few things I appreciate about you. No, one of the many things I appreciate. Kidding. Um, that's the next thing. When you start your business, you can't do it all yourself. You don't know every piece of what you need to do. As quickly as you can, find people who are experts in their field. They say surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. It doesn't mean you're a dumbass. It means that there are several different specialties when you start an organization. There are people that are really good at operations and detail. There's other people good at finance. There's people good at marketing and advertising and product development. There are all sorts of different fields. And you want to make sure that you surround yourself with the best people you can and the best people you can afford to really build an organization that you can migrate from being just an entrepreneur to becoming a leader. The difference between an entrepreneur when they're starting out and a leader is, of course, the entrepreneur is doing everything on their own, right? They want to control every aspect of it. Part of the reason is they don't have the money to have anybody else helping them. But there is a transition of going from an entrepreneur to a leader. And when you become a leader, you need to be able to empower the people around you, to give them the tools that they need to be successful, and to sit back and rely on those successes to happen. Of course, you have to monitor, not micromanage. You have to have meetings to be able to make sure everybody's in sync in the organization. But step back, be a leader. And one of the things as a leader, and this is just an off point that
This is bonus.
well, but it shows a major difference between an entrepreneur and a leader. When an entrepreneur wants to come to you and tell you everything about their new golden widget and how amazing it is and how they've thought about it for years and it's just this incredible thing, and even around a group of people that are going to be working together, a leader speaks last. A leader, if you're having a meeting with your executives, with your team, with people who need to know more, unless of course you're giving a presentation, obviously, but in an environment where you're trying to get somewhere, as you're becoming a leader, speak last. Why? Because when you speak first, everybody's going to kind of lean towards what you're saying just because you're cutting the paychecks. If you speak last, you get to hear everybody's real opinion. You get to value all the different resources that you have. Again, surrounding yourself with people smarter than you, and then speak last and make conclusions, which may be pieces of everything everybody had to say instead of speaking first and dictating what that conversation is going to end up being.
I love it. That's super helpful. Well, I know we had a lot that we've contained in this one show, and you always have so much more information, Fred. So is there anything that you wanted to leave us with today before we go and before I mention all the lovely comments in the chat here?
Yeah, there is. I mean, and I've had this recently happen. I think we even talked about it last week regarding the Cary. There has to come a time when blame stops. There has to come a time when you can't worry about the fact that there was a 2-year pandemic. You can't think about the fact that the cost of shipping things from China quadrupled, or that there's a war in the Ukraine, or that there were incredibly high gas prices or shortages of a lot of products. And even companies like Ford are selling trucks that don't have some of the critical electronic components in them because they can't get a hold of them. You have to stop thinking about the problems of the world and even the problems that you have internally and just keep marching forward. And part of marching forward, Ford is a great example. They sold trucks without electronic pieces.
Have you ever heard of that?
Huh?
Have you ever heard of that existing ever? No.
But you know why that exists? Even with a gigantic multinational organization, they have to sell product. They have to be out there. And so what do? We sit back and we wait until we have that 21 features that we want to have in our app, in the version 1 of our app that we don't even have one download waiting for us yet? Or do we be like Ford and say, give me my 3 core features, get me out there, let me start getting downloads, and let me start building these other features as my own customers tell me they need them. I may come out with 21 features and people use 8 of them. I had a company called Path One, and we did a test of internal test, the top 10 reasons that companies, and this was a B2B deal, top 10 reasons that companies should want to use our product. And then we went out and did customer feedback. Guess what? Top 3 reasons, not one of them was in our top 10. And we built out all this stuff, making all of these assumptions instead of waiting for what our customer had to say. So two scenarios. Number one, you can't get all the pieces you need, like Ford, sell what you got. Number two, you want to wait till you get every single thing you could possibly think of inside your app. Don't, because you don't know whether people need all that stuff. Go live, get downloads, prove yourself out. Go to one little city and build that out, then go to the next. As a CEO, you got to move. And if things are delayed, whether you're working with IdeaPros or whether you're working on your own, there are going to be delays. They're going to be delays. They're going to be delays. Get it in your head. That's what happens. You have to figure out how to deal with them in a positive way. Not, you assholes, you told me this was going to be done a week ago. It has to be, what can I do to help? How can we make this better? Are there things that we can do, corners we can cut that are not going to affect the quality of what we're building? Are there other ways to deliver? And I do this all the time. Again, mostly with apps. I'll do that. Somebody wants all these big, huge things. One of our partners wanted to deliver 4K video on apps, live 4K video on apps. You can't even do that with Instagram and Facebook. They have hundreds of millions of dollars to spend on apps. I finally was able to convince them, hey, there's another way. If you want people to have really, really high quality video, you can have lower quality video in your app and then have a link where people can go right into YouTube, sign in, and see the high quality video there. So that's a workaround. So your job as a CEO, your ultimate job as a CEO is to make your company succeed. And the only way you're going to do that is to act successful, be successful, do the things that you need to do every single time. Don't blame anybody else. Have those sleepless nights where you're crying at the ceiling, but don't tell anybody when you wake up the next day. Don't say a word to anybody that you know that works with you. You go in there and you say, we got this, we can do this. I know it's hard. It's hard for everybody. You can't go in there as a leader and start blaming everybody else, because then you're not a leader. So go be a leader.
Thank you, Fred. And that's when you're talking about don't go say this to your team, that's when you have that group, that mastermind, that membership area where you kind of can release some of that information, but not to your team, because you are the leader. So that's another vote in the direction of the membership, which I love, because we have Move to CEO is the same thing for women. So yeah. I'm so glad we had so many comments over in the chat, but I just wanted to take a second real quick, Fred, to point out two of them. And that, we've got, this one is really cool. I have to put this on because this is Katie. It's a Freestyle family. I believe that this is Katie Mish with Freestyle. And she's just saying, thank you so much.
Why did it say Janet on it?
Well, I think we have two people in from Freestyle with the Freestyle family. But also we have Katie's down here too. I just saw her. 1 minute at a time, she said. So I'm so happy that you all are here live with us on Fridays, every single Friday. We have Vanessa with Zwizzy, we have Sage. So Fred, I just, there it is. I found it. Okay. 100% great advice. Odin says, it's easy to complain. There's Zwizzy right there. Versus being responsible for your own success. Absolutely. And you guys, I know you are the responsible ones. You're here live with us because you are sucking it all in. And thank you, Fred, for providing us all this information every single week. And we will have another we're going to have a show on social media next week. So we're going to give Fred a break and then get him back for another topic, one of which Odin thinks should be surveys. So we might consider putting that on. That's a good, I love how Fred describes surveys too. It's like the X-ray. But we'll have more on that in a week or two. Thank you, Fred. We'll see you next week.
Have a great weekend. I won't see you next week, but I'll be watching.
I know. We're going to have social media algorithm updates that you need to know about for social media, which are really important.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you. All right, guys. I just want to take a second because I know we have a lot of new people in our feed today, but we have two. Let's see. I'm going to grab them. I know Patrick. Oh, I saw that you had a stroke. I'm so sorry. I hope you're feeling better and things are getting on their way to healing for you. I know we have Flavio, who's new to our lives, I believe. So welcome. Glad to have you here. You said thanks for going live. Absolutely. Come back and see us We're Friday at noon Pacific time. We're here every single Friday. Sage, of course. Sage is always there at our partner meetings too. That's what you were talking about when you posted that. You are. We appreciate you and Kelly. I know that's Sean and Kelly. Positive mindset. Love it. And Mary. Oh, yes. So Mary, and it's really difficult to fight off the negatives. And I just have to say, because I know Fred was talking about this, and one of the ways that I kind of put my mind frame in a better, happier place is to think like the person that does already have all that, the really successful business and everything, and how would I be acting differently? So I may not worry so much about the money, but I knew that there was an outcome to it. So that's been really helpful for me lately, to fight off the negatives and really not get stuck in that bad space, to really just receive the fact that I can be that person. And now I just have to act like it. And maybe that means I have to change some of the things I'm doing now to get to that end result, but it helps. But I have learned a lot of that by watching Fred's or videos over on Instagram, which is great. Official Fred Cary, which has so much good information. Oh, thank you, Vanessa. I appreciate you being here. SageScheduler.com. Definitely check that out. Kelly, thank you for posting that. That's going to be an amazing app. And, if you're thinking about doing little video explainers, check out Sage Scheduler. They have 2 really good videos on their website that just explain the app so well. I love it. Hector, so good to have you here. Let's see. I know I saw a couple other new people and I can't get to them. but as always, guys, if you have any topics that you want to cover, we will do surveys, because I think that would be a really good one for us to cover. Oh, Hector, thank you. I know that was very kind of you. And Fallout too. Good to have you here. Oh, contest. Thank you, Odin, for mentioning that. We are on the last little bit of this contest stretch. So if you want to go back to any of our old lives and add a comment that says contest, hashtag contest, or just contest works too. If you put it on the old lives from January 15th until the end of February, you get entered into our contest, and we're giving away prizes that are good for entrepreneurs. So we have, it's doing a random search by people who have put that on the comments. So do that. And there you go. You got it. And Odin, I'm like, honestly, you are in the lead for sure. So if anyone wants to go back to one of the old ones, you can just go to our IdeaPros page on Facebook, and you can go to the old ones and get entered in. Oh, hey. And so Rob over at UpGig, he's new social media again. Oh, gotcha. You're getting back on social media. Awesome. Oh, so see, I have to remove that. Okay. So yes, UpGig, I'm going to give it to you. Do you want to put your handle in for us, Rob? I think it's just UpGig, but I have to ask because you never know. But you guys should follow Rob. I'm so excited that he's got all this coming. But next week is our social media algorithm things you need to know. So there's 7 things you need to know about the algorithms for social media that really, even I was surprised. Some of these I was surprised, and I'm in it every day. And these were really interesting facts for me. So we'll see you next week for that. We'll have lots of information, cram it all in as I usually do. And so if you haven't subscribed to get notifications when we go live, there is a link in the post to get reminders when we go live. And it's a great way to promote you and your business, obviously, because I do put them on the screen. So upgigapp.com. Definitely. I'm so excited about this one too. Can't wait. Congratulations, Rob, on getting closer and closer to launching that. And oh yes, the mini courses by Fred Abel. Good to see you. If you guys haven't already, hit the subscribe bell so you get notifications when we go live. And of course, if you have any topic ideas, there's a link to a form that you can fill out, and that comes straight to us, and we can start to build those topics into our next shows. So have a wonderful week, guys, and we'll see you next Friday. Bye.